All right, we have another episode of the Bagland Podcast. We have my brother here, Solomon, once again. Now, I want to get right into it. I want you to analyze this because the title of this is going to be called Black Jobs. Now, people have been getting, they panties in a bunch, is what people say. They're saying, well, what is a black job? Omarosa has been talking about it. Now, I was a little surprised, but I want to play something real quick.
And he caused the inflation. He's blaming inflation, and he's right. It's been very bad. He caused the inflation, and it's killing black families and Hispanic families and just about everybody. It's killing people. They can't buy groceries anymore. They can't. You look at the cost of food where it's doubled and tripled and quadrupled. They can't live. They're not living anymore. He caused this inflation. I gave him a country with essentially no inflation. It was perfect. It was so good. All he had to do is leave it alone. He destroyed it with his Green New scam and all this money that's being thrown out the window. He caused inflation. As sure as you're sitting there, the fact is that his big kill on the black people is the millions of people that he's allowed to come in through the border. They're taking black jobs now, and it could be 18, it could be 19, and even 20 million people. They're taking black jobs, and they're taking Hispanic jobs, and you have...
Now, black jobs. The internet has been buzzing all around the word black jobs. Well, what does he mean by black jobs? Black jobs are being taken.
Well, what jobs are those migrants doing?
Well, typically you see them. Well, hey, we could talk about like the first time I noticed over South Minneapolis. Remember, we was in like Popeyes. It blew me away one day I came up in there. You remember Popeyes used to be all black. You remember that on Lake?
Yeah. Yeah, now it's what, Mexican?
Yeah. Yeah.
They bought it. They bought it up, yeah.
Okay, now let's go back to the 90s. When we used to go to Walmart, for folks that don't know, let's give a little context in this black jobs. For folks that don't know, we come from Minnesota. We were born here. My folks, well, my grandparents and all of them, they from the South. Your family is from Eritrea. In the 90s, when you used to go to Kmart, who did you see working behind those cash registers most of the time?
Oh, yeah, Americans.
Yeah. I mean, you'd have some white people too. But typically you'd have, for what I remember, it was a lot of black folks. I noticed personally for me, I noticed kind of around the 2000s. I don't know about you, but I noticed there was a major shift. Now, when we were kind of growing up, and because you always lived in Cedar Square West, but I didn't live there until I was in my 20s when I got my first apartment. But used to always live there. I remember when we were growing up, the neighborhood, it was mainly just black folk. You had some Eritrean folks, some Ethiopians. You had some Somali back then, but it wasn't heavy. I don't remember I don't remember it to the point where we were kind of getting into our later teens and our 20s that the zone started getting flooded. What year do you remember when it just pretty much became all Somalian?
Well, probably like 95, 96, maybe.
95, 96.
I think by like junior year of high school, it was pretty,
quite saturated. Okay, because I remember
by senior year of high school. Because if you remember, I would say by about senior year of high school, so about 99, 2000, they were here now. They was incorporated into America. Because I first remember seeing them about 93, 94. But they were still, pussyfooting around. They wasn't really comfortable with things.
But when I got my own apartment, I was at one point, because I stayed in D building, D 1901. I think I sent you a picture of us. I made a song called D building. I was staying in D building. I was like the only brother in the building. Some of them asked me, they were like, sometimes I would get asked, am I Somalian? Sometimes I would get asked that question, and I'd be like, when they hear me start talking, then they'll be like, okay, well, either he's American Somalian or he's Black American. And so I remember being like literally one of, I don't think there was another Black American in that building when I was living. I lived there maybe a year or two or something. I don't think there was another Black American in that building. So when he says black jobs, most of black folks, like when you think about like, I mean, black folks work everywhere. But when I used to go to Walmart in Frogtown in St. Paul, who was the cashier primarily? That was black folks. Most of Frogtown was primarily foundational blacks for the most part. That's what I remember.
All foundational black.
Huh? In Walmart?
Yeah.
And quite a bit in Target as well. Now, I didn't go in that Target that much at Frogtown because I didn't have a lot of reasons to go to St. Paul until I started, I started to kind of hustle over there years later. But, we had to take the 21 to get over there if you wasn't driving. So, yeah, that's partially true. Now, what they're gonna frame this as is, why did he say black jobs? Is he talking down to black people? Now, there's something that you pointed out to me yesterday. Not only did you say that this was a waste of time, you said some things before this debate that came true. You said if I was Trump, I would start talking about that 94 crime bill. Now, he didn't say the 94 crime bill, but he said something that kind of rung the ears of America a little more, especially black America. That term super predator. Now, I can't remember if Joe actually called them super predators. I know for a fact it was Hillary Clinton that called them super predators. But remember, she was the one, it was Bill Clinton, it was Biden, and it was Hillary that was using that super predator thing, that whole 94 crime bill super predator thing. What they were basically saying was young black kids are criminals and they're super predators. Now that ended up hurting them pretty bad in the long run, because you see Crooked Hillary, she couldn't get back in there. Black folks never forgot about that, so they couldn't put her in there. They just barely got by once they got in. But they couldn't elect Hillary. I knew Hillary wasn't going to win because black folks wasn't going to forgive that. And she was very, very condescending. She would go to certain places, and whenever they would have rallies, and there would be black folks in the rally, she'd start talking all Southern. Because, she's from Arkansas and all, but she started coming with a Southern drawl. Let me pull that up.
Yeah. She said that she keep hot sauce in her book bag, her purse at all times.
Now the difference, the way that I call her Curry Harris, the way that Kamala got in is she used the same tropes, hot sauce, all of this. But see, because she went to a HBCU, she was able to get away with the sister girl thing. But then she started messing up, talking about what she used to listen to, and she started talking about Kwanzaa, and then people start pulling up pictures like, nigga, how did you celebrate Kwanzaa? They started pulling up pictures of her Indian family, like Red Dot Indian family. Like, you know what I'm saying? They're like, okay, nigga, we know y'all wasn't celebrating no damn Kwanzaa. And when she started talking about, oh, shout out to Phife Dawg, not knowing he was dead, and oh, I listened to Tupac, and what the biggest thing she did, I want to play this real quick, and then we'll get back to this black jobs thing, because I actually got some data on black jobs. You know me, I actually did some research, but I want to play something real quick. And this, to me, this is what really solidified. You and I, we both knew it, but this really solidified it right here. I want you to hear this. this might turn your stomach. So I hope you I hope you have a stiff drink.
The home ownership is one of the best ways that we achieve intergenerational wealth. We also know that it is one of the many issues where we have seen incredible obstacles for black families. We don't even need to go as far back as nobody got the 20 acres and a mule.
Now I want to pause that and give that a moment of silence. Do you ever remember, even when we were in high school, do you ever in your life remember me saying anything about 20 acres and a mule?
Right. You know.
20 acres.
Right.
All right, let me ask you this question. Spike Lee, and there's been some things that, you know, in the last couple of years where Spike Lee, where I'm kind of like, you know, I don't know about, you know. But credit is credit due. Spike Lee has given us classics after classic after classic after classic. What is the name of his film company?
I don't know. What is it?
40 Acres and a Mule Production. Every black American knows that. I mean, or you're familiar with it. Like, you, now that I tell you, you remember, like, oh yeah, 40 Acres and a Mule. 40 Acres and a Mule. So when you say something like that, when you say 40 acres and a mule, you're referring to something. He did that on purpose. He's basically he's putting that right in front. And he probably lost a lot of movies just coming in when he proved himself. And he, you know, Spike Lee has, if you ever watched a lot of movies in the last 25 years, you've noticed people have stolen that. You remember, like, when you watch Malcolm X and Do the Right Thing and all that, that camera angle that he puts in the middle and it makes like, it makes it look like he's zooming out.
Yeah.
Yeah. All kind of folks done stole that from him. There's a lot of movies, they don't never want to give him credit for that, but there's a lot of movies where they stole that from him. You see what I'm saying? And, you know, I don't think he's tripping, but he named it 40 Acres and a Mule. So that the 40 Acres and a Mule, that is basically saying, you know, he named it, just letting folks know, like, look, you know, we're owed reparations. We're owed 40 acres and a mule. When we got off the plantation, we were promised that. It was never honored, but we were supposed to receive 40 acres and a mule because they figured, and I think it was supposed to be some money too, but they figured this, 40 acres, you know, you were already an enslaved person. Man, you get 40 acres, that's like gold. You got 40 acres. You got 40 acres in the land and a mule, man. You could build whatever you want. You could pass that down to your great grandchildren. You know, so when she said that, she wasn't joking. You know how be a mishap, like, oh, ha ha ha. That's not a ha ha moment. That's right. Not. So that just goes to show you how disillusioned and how far away from us she is. That sister girl routine, I don't care how many HBCUs, when you say 20 acres and a mule, that goes to show you ain't never really been around us. And if you did, you're like, you know, you're pulling the Drake almost. So you got to kind of just look her as she's so, you know, I just want to folks, a lot of people haven't heard that. Now, that didn't help, but then, let me see, hold on. All right. So let's go back to the black jobs.
And he caused the inflation.
He said black jobs. Now, with the inflation, and let me ask you this. Do you recall a lot of inflation in paying for, you know, more food prices and all of this stuff that we're paying for? Do you remember experiencing that when Trump was in office?
No,
I didn't. Not to this point. As far as the food and stuff, that's all been during the Biden administration, as far as I know.
You talking about the COVID stuff?
The high price, you know, all the high prices for shit.
Well, that's when you go to war, you know, whenever there's a war.
And there hasn't been a war, right?
And then you got to also think, Minneapolis especially Minneapolis, there's a double jeopardy on the people. You know what I'm talking about? Because they get these grants from accepting these foreigners and migrants and mental health people. You know, they have the John F. Kennedy old saying, "Give me your weak, give me your poor, give me your disenfranchised." Minnesota accepts all this, and with that, they get these grants, which enable them to have stadiums. Every sports team in Minnesota has their own stadium. That kind of stuff is unheard of. So what happens, the double jeopardy happens is they get the money for the stadiums, and then they turn around and tax the people for the stadiums on top of that. So when you go in your store and now that pack of cigarettes is down there $20, and you go to Target and you spend $150, you don't know what the fuck you just bought. All that is called double jeopardy. Like I said, the people of Minnesota have a class action lawsuit against the state legislator because they're taking grants. They're taking government grants and loans, not loans, but government grants that they don't have to pay back to get all these, to bring these foreigners or people with mental health issues and drug problems to Minnesota. They're making us as people have to deal with them on a daily basis, and then we're getting double taxed.
Okay.
You know, a lot of people don't realize that shit, you know?
Now,
the real problem, to see, the thing is, though, is the people are putting their energy in the wrong place. They're trying to blame these migrants. What the fuck are you going to blame them for? Of course they're going to take whatever amenities they have and this and that. Of course they're going to take that. It's the blame to be going on the Democratic Party.
And Joe doesn't want to. Trump was actually telling the truth about that. Now, the migrants, they're going to do what they do. You know, if you coming from somewhere or whatever, you gonna do what you do. That's natural. That's human nature, right? But he told them the truth. He said black jobs, and then people are upset because he said black or the blacks or whatever like that. But he said you taking away the black jobs, and Joe really didn't have a good response to this, and he was a lying bastard about what I'm getting ready to tell you, because he said, well, the unemployment has been low. And it's like, okay, let's go to CNBC. Now, this was on February 2nd, 2024. The unemployment rate of black men rose in January, underscoring continued inequality in the labor market. Black males who were at least 20 years ago saw an unemployment rate of 5% in January, up from 4.6% in December. Now, some people that's listening to us be like, oh, man, 5%, that ain't nothing. That's high as hell. That's high as hell for unemployment, believe it or not. Yeah. Now, Minnesota's 3%, so that's rather low. Then it says right here, the average white worker, ages 16 or older, had a median weekly pay that was 20% higher than their black counterparts, according to the federal data as of the last quarter of 2023. Now, what people are going to say is this: well, DP is get some lazy ass niggas. No. What it is as well as you know, is Billy Bob could come in there, not know shit, not have no degrees or certifications, and they're going to at least give him the shadow of a doubt before Jerome that comes in with a bachelor's degree with all the experience in the world. Most black people know this. We know this. So he's lying again. Here's another thing, and I was going to bring this up too, but I almost forgot about it. The Fearless Fund. This was a group of sisters that got together and they came up with, and see, they don't really want to talk about this. Matter of fact, this is very interesting. There's a new article about it. Now listen to this. Now this was a Fearless Fund. The Fearless Fund it was some sisters that got together and they basically, they got a company together to basically give black women grants. And they do the little people of color BS or whatever. But the bottom line is black women get grants for starting new businesses. There was a dude named Blum. I think his name is Ed Blum, that actually sued and tried to stop the Fearless Fund from happening. Now I'm looking right here at TechCrunch.com. Fearless Fund's founder has resigned, and it's a sad reflection on the VC world for black women. It says on Monday, Fearless Fund's co-founder Ayanna Parsons announced she will be stepping down from her leadership role from the firm. She will no longer be its general partner and COO, but will be enjoying island life with her family, she said. She co-founded the fund in 2019 with her partner Arian Simone, who remains the CEO. Fearless Fund was founded with a mission to provide venture capital financing, grants, and financial education to startups founded by black women. That's a demographic that is both particularly underserved and promising. Less than 1% of all VC dollars in 2023 went to black-founded startups, which amounts to around $661 million out of $136 billion. So you see, when it comes to black folk, when it's time for us to get some money, we're getting 1%. Remember what Dr. Claude Anderson said about us having only 1% of, he said 1% of 100. How do you say that? It was almost nothing. It was almost nothing. So Ed Blum, he's a oh, here it goes right here. It says the money invested and granted is from private limited partnerships. The LPs who supported the fund want to support this thesis. The companies receiving money are still private startups. Since so little classic VC funding is going to these businesses, the community is building their own rails. Everyone in this ecosystem is okay with this. Now listen to this. Still, it is being sued by a politically conservative group called the American Alliance for Equal Rights over its charitable grants program. Now, I want y'all to understand. Now, remember what you were talking about in terms of conservatives. You were talking about this. You were telling me about this 6 months ago. Now, these little conservative groups, American Alliance, Tipping Point USA, that was a place that hired Candace Owens. This whole new Project 2025 thing. All of these are little undercover race soldier groups that hide under the conservative banner of race soldiers to try to undermine blacks. Now, look what the AAER did. They're challenging the fund's right to provide $20,000. It is 20,000 funky ass dollars, bro, that they're trying to stop these sisters from getting. They're challenging the fund's right to provide $20,000 in small business grants to black women, claiming the program violates the Civil Rights Act of 1866, which bans the use of race in contracts. Now, remember when we were listening to Dr. Claude Anderson break down the Constitution a couple broadcasts ago? Now, this dude is a definite suspected race soldier. Now, the Civil Rights Act of 1866 was really supposed to be for black folks. So the AAER was founded by Edward Blum, an activist who helped successfully overturn affirmative action in universities and is now conducting several other lawsuits in similar veins. So they're suing the Smithsonian Institute's Latino Museum Study program for hiring Latino interns. So really what they're doing is they're trying to overturn the affirmative action rights, which really didn't help black folks probably since the 60s, really like that. Everybody else kind of benefited for it. But they're overturning the affirmative action rights based on the rights that black folks fought for, the Civil Rights Act of 1866, and affirmative action rights. They're basically trying to strip down the civil rights. So basically it's saying, well, it's not about race. While you could still have a white dude that demands he goes to an HBCU. Now, it says, last year when the case made national news, numerous founders and investors told TechCrunch about the infuriating irony of using the Civil Rights Act of 1866 to protest the firm's program, as it was initially put in place to help the formerly enslaved and is now being used against the community it sought to help. Now you have that. All while this bubbling, mumbling bastard is talking about what he did for black folks. He didn't say nothing about that. Now, this is from the Constitution. Remember, this is a constitutional right that the foundational blacks fought to get. Now, this is 1866. Now, remember when they said, well, Abraham freed the slaves in 65. That's why I told you. He didn't really free them, bro. Black folks was fighting and tearing shit up to get these laws and stuff in place. They just don't really talk about it. Let's go back to the unemployment rate. Now, right here it says, by comparison, white men saw a jobless rate of just 3.3% in January, holding steady from December. The overall unemployment rate was unchanged from December at 3.7%. Meanwhile, the black community as a whole was the only tracked racial group to see unemployment increase from December. This underscores the effect of job losses among black men, especially considering the fact that the rate for black women was unchanged between December and January at 4.8%. Though the uptick in the unemployment rate for black men is something to monitor, it can be more indicative of an anomaly in December's low data, said Elise Gold, senior economist at the Economy Policy Institute. January's 5.3% rate comes basically in line with the average 2023 month, while December's 4.6% was the lowest level seen in a year. What the hell was that nigga talking about? Now, if I was his campaign advisors, they're not doing what we doing. If they would have paid me or you, if they would have paid me or you and said, hey, use these talking points, and they would have said, all right, DP Solomon, we want you on Donald Trump campaign. We gonna give you niggas $500,000 a piece. Oh, it would have been worse than last night. It would have been worse than last night if he would have brought this stuff up. Oh, he would have tanked.
At a certain point, you know, you got to think Trump and the Republican Party, they don't spend a lot of time trying to convince. You know, they kind of look at the black vote like, you know,
whatever.
If y'all come, you come. If you don't, you don't.
Yep. They have a standard base. That's why, see, now, he could have used this too. He could have said this. This would have really messed him up bad. But then, you know, Trump didn't really want to get into the weeds for this. But you know what he could have said, bro? He could have said, yeah, you know, you promised him a lot. I mean, you won't even offer him reparations. He could have said that, even if he, yeah. But he didn't. But see, then now they can question Trump. Yeah, he's not gonna do that. He's not even gonna put that on him, because now people gonna ask Trump about it. And you know, Trump usually, if he doesn't want to do something for black folk, what he says is, well, you know, I'll look into it. We'll talk about it. Like Kanye West sat him down and was telling him about Larry Hoover. Trump seems like he literally didn't genuinely know who Larry Hoover was.
No. How would he? Why would?
I just figured that, you know, a lot of times they just got a little token Negro, a conservative Negro that tries to get them hip and stuff like that. But he just like didn't have a clue. Like, remember with Frederick Douglass, this nigga thought he was still alive. Yeah. he really, like, he you know, they don't really, you know, be looking at all. I mean, you would think he would, but I don't think he really knows too much. And he, like I said, he's not really like a politician. He looks at sitting in the Oval Office as a business deal. That's how he sees it. He looks at it as another way, because you know presidents always make the most money out of office. You could ask Barack about that. But they make a lot of money out of office because they made all these connections, and I mean, you're pretty much set. So
inside deals.
Hunter Biden.
He made undocumented money while he was in the office.
Oh yeah. And you know, that's this thing I think they keep trying to hide it. But I think Hunter Biden was doing, there was some stuff about Russia. I think him and his son was doing some side deals with Russia, just like Trump. No different. I think they were doing side deals. And
the Russians.
And
Hunter Biden would tell the Russians and the Chinese, he wouldn't even tell them that he was Biden's son. He would just say, hey, you know, give me a few dollars, I'll get you a meeting with the big guy. That's what he would say.
So basically, don't give me no Hennessy nigga deal. Remember when he said
That's what he's talking about. Yeah, don't give me no Hennessy nigga deal. I'm gonna get you a meeting with the vice president at the time. Why
didn't Trump use that too? Do you think he didn't have proof? Why didn't he say, hey, your son said he wanted a Hennessy N-word deal? Why didn't he bring that up?
You know, I mean, because at the end of the day, that's his son. You know, it's not him. But what he could do is, what he did do is he told him,
he's a felon.
He said, if once you get out of office, you're about to get some felonies too. For what was on them laptops. Did you hear him say that?
You know what? I missed that little part. I think they did mention something about a laptop though, but I think I was out of the room.
As soon as you get out of office, you talking about felonies. As soon as you get out of office, you're gonna have some felonies too.
That was a good comeback.
Figure out what was on them laptops. Hunter Biden was making deals with the Chinese and the Russians, and he was telling them, if you give me a few dollars, I'm gonna get you in front of the vice president. You will have a meeting with the vice president. Why do they want to meet with the vice president on the low? You know? That's what I'm saying. There's side deals going on. That happens all the time. It's just most of them, their son doesn't smoke crack and take his laptop to get repaired, and the motherfucker repairs it, goes through it.
Check this out. Let's play this.
Joining us now from House Judiciary, he's the senior.
Now, it says Biden blasts Hunter Biden laptop as a Russian plant during the 2020 debate. Now, this is a flashback, so I just want people to kind of, know what we're talking about.
Member of the House Weaponization Subcommittee. He's Congressman Darrell Issa. Congressman, it's good to have you on the show. It's good to see you again. So, Congressman, what more do we know about this report out of your subcommittee that at least 2 of the 51 intelligence officials who co-signed that letter a month before the 2020 election, falsely speculating the Hunter Biden laptop story was Russian disinformation, were on the CIA payroll as contractors?
Now, another thing, too, they try to use. Remember, in the Democrats, they both dirty, but the Democrats did real dirty this last one. They tried to use the Russian collusion thing. That was proven to be false. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
Remember when they tried to say Trump was doing collusion? Maybe he did, but it was proven not to be true. They said Russian collusion. There was no collusion, right? You remember that? They spent a lot of time. Who was that one dude that was working on the case for a long time? What was his name? Damn, what was his name?
Kenneth Starr?
No. He was a dude. Okay, let me type it up. Let's get the information right. Oh, this is gonna be a good show tonight. Russian collusion. Trump. There was a main prosecutor. What was his name? All right, let's see. Mueller. Do you remember Mueller?
He was the prosecutor on Biden to see what Biden was doing?
It says, okay, an investigation into the origins, and I'm looking at this May 16, 2023, an investigation into the origins of the FBI probe into ties between Russia and Donald Trump's 2016 presidential campaign has finally been concluded, with prosecutor John Durham submitting a much-awaited report that had found major flaws. The report, the culmination of a 4-year investigation into possible misconduct from U.S. government officials, contained withering criticism of the FBI, but few significant revelations. They failed to prove there was collusion. Because remember this is what they tried to do. They said that, he colluded with the Russians. Then they said because black folks, Foundation of Blacks was demanding, telling the Democrats, you need to give us something for our vote. We need reparations. Then they try to say we were Russian bots. Oh, these are just Russian bots. These are fake internet accounts. These aren't real black people. That's what they was telling black Americans online. Hey, you're just fake Russian bots. It's the Russians that are asking for reparations. This ain't the real black, So they couldn't prove that there was Russian collusion. And we still got this laptop. Here we go.
What do we know about this?
Well, that's exactly what we know, is that, in fact, they were working for the government and didn't disclose it. And that's the important thing. It's the non-disclosure. It's the fact that they were current employees and could be influenced by exactly that. I think the most important thing, though, is that all 51 have been shown to be people who either had a reason for political purposes to make the false statement, or they went along because they were assumed that the outcome would be the way it was, and that they would benefit from it. And that's both of these have. It's the kind of thing we have to stop in government. We've got to stop.
I'm gonna be honest. When Joe got in, I know they cheated some kind of way, and I know the mainstream and CNN. There was a CNN editor that even kind of lightweight admitted that they kind of cheated. But I thought they were a little cleaner than the Trump family. They're no different. It's almost even worse, it seems like. I mean, it's bad, bro. I mean, you got crack in the White House. I remember you mentioned that to me the other day. The American people have not said anything about this. None of the Democrats have said, hey, man, you ain't supposed to have no crack cocaine in the White House. Was it Hunter's?
You gotta assume. Was he there?
Man, I'm pretty sure he was. I'm pretty sure you got to think, if your dad was president, do you think you would go in the White House and meet him from time to time, have a bite, have something to eat?
Of course. Shit, you remember, and the thing is those guys, with the money they got, they're getting pure cocaine. They ain't getting this bullshit that you see here on the street.
I never thought about that either.
Yeah, so I wouldn't be surprised if Joe ain't doing it to give him a little boost. That man's how old? 80-some years old?
That nigga's about 150 years old.
He might need that to give him a little bump. He might have took a little hit before the debate, to be honest with you.
The debate was so bad. I mean, Joe did so bad, I almost had a little pity for him. Then I thought about the 94 crime bill. It was so embarrassing. It was kind of like, okay, dude, it's like if you have your grandpa, you tell your grandpa step down. You just go home and take care of the grandkids, go on. I wouldn't even, if my grandpa was doing stuff like that, bro, I wouldn't even advise him to get on a plane anymore. Don't even go on an island. You might get lost.
Yeah, well, guess what's about to happen?
Well, I've been hearing reports that what's that LGBT dude out of California. I've been hearing some reports, man, online that I don't know if it's true, but that let me turn this thing on a little higher. I'm still kind of hot in here. Let me know if it's affecting the microphone. I don't know if you can hear it, but it's like my little fan. I've been hearing it. Not Ron DeSantis. What's that dude? Gavin Newsom. I've been hearing that they gonna have to try to get him up to date and get him to replace him because he's not really. The Democrats are distraught. They don't know what to do right now. They are terrified right now. They have to find somebody to replace him.
Well, they got their out, so Donald Trump and that moderator gave the Democratic Party their out to win the election because the lady asked him, she said, Trump, the 500,000 migrants that Biden brought over here, you're going to have them deported as soon as you win, right? He said, yeah. I'm going to send them right back. Okay. So if Biden and them are smart, they're going to harp on that and bring more. You'll see by the end of this summer, I guarantee you that 500,000 immigrants will turn into 1.5 million. They're going to create their own voters. Watch.
That's the only thing they could do.
When he said, yeah, I'm going to have them all deported. Okay. Now we're going to, they gave the Democratic Party an out right there. They're smart. They're going to bring 1 million more. Find some illegals that's running around California. So come on, you're illegal now.
Another thing that you mentioned to me, I thought I was the only one when I saw it. You said that they breezed past. They asked about Black Americans, and Joe really didn't know what he looked like. Damn, man, how am I gonna answer this question?
Well, she set him up with the question, though.
Did he know about it?
I don't know, but she set him up with the question because she said the unemployment rate has gone down, but the criminal rate is still the same. This is still the same. She set him up with that. There really wasn't an answer he could give her. You know what I mean? That was a Trump-led type of question. The way she worded it really wasn't an answer he could give her. And Black Americans, foundationals, have gotten to a point. That debate was 1 hour and 39 minutes. They discussed foundational blacks for under a minute.
Right. Yes, sir.
They discussed Ukraine for probably 10 minutes. They discussed illegals for probably 5 to 10 minutes. They discussed foundationals for 1 minute. And mind you, understand something. One party, the Republican Party, gives no fuck about foundationals. When you're saying he should be harping on the 94 crime bill, that's if he cares. The Republicans look at blacks like, you know what, if y'all want to come vote for us, go ahead. If not, we're trying to protect our base. We need the white skin color to come this way. If we're going to get some coons to come along the way or some people tired of Democrats, we're not going to make Republicans are not going to make their business model to get black voters.
What is Omarosa belly aching about?
Who?
You sent me some. Omarosa's complaining about the black jobs remark. But that was her man. It's not like she didn't know who he was.
Until he fired her.
Oh, so she's mad because she got fired.
Yeah, he fired her.
Why'd he fire her?
She went off on some staff, like she'd be doing, cursing people and all that shit. And she thought Trump was going to back it up. What happened, so the staff member fired her. And she said, no, I ain't going to get fired. I'm going up top to Trump. Fuck you, bitch. And Trump held the firing. He said, yep, he's fired. And that's what she had a recording of Trump, I guess, using the N-word.
You know,
She said she did.
Omarosa is not bad looking at all. I will say that. Omarosa,
No,
she's
she played that dude, man. Remember the guy from the Green Mile, the big dude?
Oh, she was with a brother?
Yeah, she was plenty of brothers.
Really?
She's with the wrestler guy now.
Oh, okay. So she was just playing the role to get in.
Could be. Yeah, I mean, she was. Yeah, she was. She appeared on The Apprentice. Donald Trump liked her.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That's where that Donald Trump liked her, and he said, "Okay, she's dark skinned. She could be my black.
Right.
You know, she'll be the buffer. So you want to call me a racial? I got this black lady fucking with me. What you talking about?
But she'll be the buffer. Okay. Now, this is yet another reason how I know how the Dems are over. Now, this is something that you sent me, and I wasn't surprised. I wasn't yet surprised. I already knew about Fat Joe, but 40 Water, I'm a little disappointed in 40 Water. You know why? I'm gonna tell you why. Because 40 Water is from California. Kamala Harris did a horrible thing to black folks in California. And now I know, I get it. Get your bread, brother. But it's kind of like, dude, I would have turned that paid appearance down. Like, you know what? Nah, man, you did my people too dirty. But like you said, but now Fat Joe, Fat Joe, I have no, at this point, I'm not even disappointed anymore. We kind of know who this nigga is. Like, Joe, first he was lying about Puerto Ricans created 50% of hip hop. I seen him standing by Kamala Harris. You got to think, he's from the hood. He grew up like us. Why would you stand next to these motherfuckers knowing what they did to our people? But, you know, he's probably looking at it like, man, fuck y'all niggas. I'm rich. See, this is what I talked about when you were asking. I sent you a video. I don't know if you've seen it, but I sent you a video a couple weeks ago. Now, you say you can't see Instagram. I know you don't have the app, but you could, when you open it up on your phone, it'll just open up in the browser, and then you can click the unmute button. But basically, it reminded me of something. There was a video that I sent you of the upper middle class black folks in LA. And these were some very well-to-do black folks. They were some real bougie, uppity Negroes, and they made it. And their attitude against other poor blacks was, well, I don't want them Negroes from Watts moving into our neighborhood. Now, if you were to turn off the camera, and if you really couldn't determine if they were black or not, like if it was, I mean, if you turn off if you just listen to the audio, you could tell these were black folks. But if you weren't able to tell, the way they were talking, you would think they would have been white. Their attitude towards other poor blacks was, I don't want them niggas around. They're gonna lower the property value. Now, here's the mistake they made. When you're a black person in America, you know, racism doesn't hide. There's no such thing as covert racism. They deal with us up front. There's never any indirect racism. The only people that might try to pull that off is like the white liberals. But just because you're a black person with money, as you can clearly see, that won't make a difference when it comes to race soldiers, sundown towns, and stuff like that. Remember, Compton was all white. There's a movie, and I talk about it a lot. It's a series called Them. It's on Amazon Prime. I've talked to you about it several times. This is about a black family that left the South. Now, some people say, well, they left the South because of racism. No, black folks didn't leave the South because of racism. Because they met the same anti-black racism and the vile white supremacists when they showed up in the West Coast and the North. If not worse at some points. So they just figured, well, I'll just go to the West Coast or up North because the bag's bigger. If I'm going to deal with race soldiers, why not just get a bigger bag? Makes sense, right? So a lot of black folks that moved to Compton was all white. Compton, there wasn't really any black people in Compton like that. So when you get one black family, the whole neighborhood gets like, yo, who are these Negroes? Oh man, I hope no more else comes. So they start burning like crosses and, you know, burn it. Try to make it miserable enough to where you'll leave. You see what I'm saying? So when you had white flight, what happens is the white folks, they and there's a whole, I mean, about like the whole. Remember a couple years ago, the whole Jim Crow North thing and the racial covenants and stuff. They had stuff in there in some of these places in California, Minnesota, pretty much across the U.S. where they say, well, hey, you can't sell this house to a black person. A black person can't live in this neighborhood. And what they would do is the real estate and the banks would lower the value purposely if you were a black person in a home. So your home couldn't appreciate. Part of the reason why Chicago is the way it is, they stole billions and billions, I mean big time, billions of dollars from black folks in, I forgot what the term is, but they would have these covenants where you buy a house, but the house, it's like a sharecrop mortgage deal. You don't never really come up out of it. But the banks made tons of money off of interest, but they were charging black people way more just because they were black. So we're going to get into this other subject in a minute. I'm going to segue into that since we mentioned Chicago.
They do a lot of that stuff now, too, if you see.
Oh, Wells Fargo.
You see homeowners associations?
Yeah.
Like that?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
They can vote to get you out of the house. They can vote you to not have the house. You don't know what they're saying in those secret meetings. Unless there's other black people in there, you don't know what they're saying.
That's absolutely true. Now, there's some other things, and I'll try to breeze it by this as we go along. Now, this right here, let me see. When did I send myself to this? Here we go. We'll look at this. Wait a minute. Let me just pull it up right now before we go into the next thing, because we not letting Joe get away. We're not letting Joe get away with this they've done nothing. Absolutely. All the stuff that he said he did for black folks, they've done nothing for black folks. Now listen to this. This is how you know the Democrats are going to have a hard time. I want to play something right here. Now, this is up here. Now, this is shocking for me because most Negroes do that vote blue no matter who garbage. Niggas are starting to kind of wisen up a little bit and saying, all right, well, let me hold my vote. Now, hold on. Where is it? 9 hours ago. Wait a minute. Let's see. Here we go. Check this out.
Part of the WCCO commitment to covering campaign 2024 is hearing from you, the voters. What is driving you to vote, and what issues do you care about most? While most polls give Joe Biden an edge in Minnesota, a poll this month by Emerson College and The Hill found the race tied here at 47% each. To date, we have listened to voters in Anoka, Northfield, and Pine City. Esme Murphy is using voters' voices to break down what really matters. And Esme joins us right now. You recently spoke to voters in North Minneapolis. And
Absolutely.
Now, why did you choose North Minneapolis?
Amelia, we chose North Minneapolis because in the past, it's black voters in places like North Minneapolis that have delivered statewide wins for Democrats, including Joe Biden in 2020.
There you go. They're letting you know right now, it's black folks. If you don't have the black vote, you're done. So now I want you to hear what the shift has been now.
But things may be changing. Nationally, a New York Times Siena poll found support for Donald Trump ahead of the 2020 election among black voters at just 4%. That same poll recently found that support for Trump ahead of this 2024 election is at 23%. What we found in North Minneapolis were a lot of voters who aren't ready to give either candidate their vote.
Now, before we go along, I'm gonna let these brothers speak. What black folks is really saying is, nah, you just not gonna get a free vote. I haven't decided yet what I'm gonna get. And if I don't get anything, we'll let this bitch crash and burn. And we're okay with that. We're not doing none of the boogeyman tactics. Oh, if you don't, he's gonna come, Don's gonna come in and the sky's gonna fall. See, the reality is this in America. Black Americans, we've been here for 300-400 fucking years. We're used to the bullshit. We're not playing the scare Negro tactic where, and this whole idea, like, and this is another thing what people pick. Somebody was on my Instagram talking about some they were sending me something talking about some, democracy, and we got to save the hell with democracy. Foundational blacks have never really truly had democracy. The hell with it. You're just not going to tell us to be the sacrificial fucking lambs because you don't really want to give us anything and you want to give everyone else. We're all going to be uncomfortable in this bitch.
Here in North Minneapolis, voters have traditionally delivered for Democrats. We decided to visit Wendy's House of Soul, which is in the North Market on North Humboldt.
And that's what they typically do. This is the fried chicken pickaninny plantation politics. Let's go to the fried chicken or the soul food vote.
The 8 precincts surrounding this store voted 85% for Joe Biden. 14% went for Trump.
Now think about that. Now, before we go along, 85% voted for Biden. Most of it was probably based off of scared Negro tactics. But 14% voted for Trump. So, like as you were saying about the Republican Party, here's the thing. A lot of people, what they say is, and this is some of the dumbest shit. This is that, as I call it, pickaninny plantation politics. Well, your ancestors died so you could vote, and if you don't vote, that's a vote for the Republicans. No. The thing is the Republicans, like as you said, they're not really tripping on the vote that much. If we don't vote, it don't break the bank. Now, Democrats, you see what they're doing now. If we're even just considering saying, I don't really know who I want to vote for. Oh, they get their panties in a bunch. They get real nervous, like, okay, we got to figure out a way to tap into this illegal alien vote and this immigrant vote, because if black folks even just say, man, I don't really know who I'm going to vote for. I'm undecided. Because like you said, they're used to just getting a free vote. They'll come around in election time every 5 minutes with some chicken, some abortion, and some haircuts and a bunch of bullshit. And they'll tell us, well, the boogeyman's coming. So every election, every 4 years, what they do is they turn off the lights and the boogeyman starts creeping up in the shadows, and they get a bunch of scared Negroes. So they base their strategy off of, as you said, Social Security, scared nigga tactics, boogeyman tactics, the sky's gonna fall tactics, and they get their percentage. And then when you're like, hey, what about an anti-black racism crime bill? Oh, no, we can't do that. Oh, what about the George Floyd Act? What's that do? Oh, that don't do shit. That just gives the police money. Okay, well, what about reparations? Talk to us 4 years. They did that when Obama came in. Hey, what you gonna do for black folks? Oh, we can't do nothing right now. It's too early. Okay, what about the second administration? Oh, hey, Obama, what you gonna do for black folk? Oh man, we can't do nothing. Y'all niggas got the House and the Senate. You got everything. What are you telling me you can't do anything? Oh well, we can't do anything. Do not promise black folks anything specific. Fried chicken, abortion, sexy red songs. They'll hire Fat Joe and E40. That is their whole thing. And black folks now is kind of like, wait a minute. I don't know about this right here. I'm gonna hold my vote. And then the next thing they start doing is they start shaming you. Oh, you're so ungrateful. Your ancestors died and all that. They don't tell that to anyone else.
Biden.
But here we only found one Joe Biden supporter.
And Joe Biden is making, well, at least his administration, his staff are making great strides to support not only the black community, but even our migrant workers.
Oh, let's go back. Now, I'm not sure who this dude was. This dude looked kind of Mexican. I don't know. He looks black, but when he said migrant workers, I got to look at this nigga kind of sideways. What are you so invested in? Let's play this again.
14% went for Trump.
I roll with Joe Biden.
But here we only found one Joe Biden supporter.
And Joe Biden is making, well, at least his administration, his staff are making great strides to support.
That's a lie. They have made no great strides for black America.
Only the black community, but even our migrant workers.
Everyone else we spoke with is undecided.
He means illegals. Not migrants, illegals.
I did.
Is there any candidate in the presidential
Now check out this brother. This is an old school brother. He got his little scooter.
Race that speaks to you more on the issues that you worry about.
Well, really, I don't really, like either one.
Disabled Vietnam veteran Michael Wright says he worries about the cost of groceries.
The price is just, outrageous.
Honestly, I feel like we're in a spot right now.
Now that old school brother that was on that scooter, usually that generation, they just vote Democrat anyway. But you got a couple real niggas that's still out there that's like, man, hold up. Now, keep in mind, what did he say? He was a Vietnam vet. So he remembers, bro. I want to put this in the proper context so people can understand what we're talking about tonight. He remembers going to Nam. You remember that movie Dead Presidents with Lorenz Tate?
Yep.
You remember that was a classic. Remember that came out in 95? That was a classic.
Uh-huh.
That movie was the quintessential, and the Hughes brothers, I think, did that. Was the Hughes brothers that they produced that?
I think so.
I think let's look this up. Let's get it right. I need to get that on DVD again. Dead Presidents by the Hughes brothers. Lorenz Tate is a great foundational Black American actor. Excellent. You had Chris Tucker in there, remember?
Yeah.
You had Keith David. You know Keith David. Keith David was in he was in the movie for some of our younger listeners, Nope. For anybody like Jordan Peele, he was in Nope. But then he was in The Barbershop, he was in Crash, he was in Pitch Black, Armageddon, The Thing in 1982, Platoon in 1986.
Bokeem Woodbine was in it too, wasn't he?
Yes, sir. They had an all-star thing. Oh, matter of fact, I didn't know this. Keith David Williams, this brother, he did the voice of the Princess and the Frog. He was the cat in Coraline. I've always loved, remember Gumby and stuff like that, Blockheads. I love stop motion animation. He's an Emmy-winning voiceover career. Shout out to the coon niggas talking about the Black Americans ain't got no damn culture. Shout out to them niggas. But anyway, do you remember the Gargoyles? Was it Disney Gargoyles that came out like 94? It was a TV series. He did the voiceover for that. He did Todd McFarlane's Spawn. But anyway, yeah, this brother, I didn't know he did all of that. I had no idea he did it. Halo 2 on Xbox. That's crazy. Saints Row. I had no idea that this brother did this many voiceover. Okay, so he got the movie game and the voiceover game. Call of Duty. He played the Sun God in Hercules in 97. That's crazy. That's insane.
That's a real nigga.
That's a real nigga, man. He does. Okay, what else was he in? Let's get a nigga his flowers while he's here. Let's see. What else he did? Volcano, Armageddon, Pitch Black. Pitch Black was pretty good. That was that joint with Ving Rhames. Not Ving Rhames. What was his name? Vin Diesel. Let's see. Final Fantasy. Okay, Barbershop. Let me see. Head of State. Crash. Chronicles of Riddick. And the Chronicles of Riddick cartoon. Transporter 2. First Sunday. Oh no, we gonna keep it 100. Stomp the Yard, Homecoming, Cloud Atlas. I'm just naming all the movies that folks probably would have known of. Tales from the Hood Part 2. I was a little disappointed in Tales from the Hood Part 2. That first one was a shit. 21 Bridges. That was a real good one. Okay, yeah, so no, that brother got some classics. So yeah, he was in Dead Presidents. Bokeem Woodbine was in Dead Presidents. Chris Tucker, Lorenz Tate. Okay, back to that. Okay, so we went off the deep end. The Vietnam War vet, if you a Black American that went to Nam, you see the conditions before you went to the Vietnam War. Remember, when the Vietnam War was going on, that's when all our revolutionaries was out there in the street. Now, what happened in the Vietnam War? Because we want to put this in the right context. Now, the Vietnam War was going on from 55 to 1975. Now, what happened from 55 to 1975? In 1955, I believe Emmett Till was murdered. Or should I say ambushed, kidnapped, and murdered. And that bitch Carolyn Bryant, may she rest in peace, was never sent to jail. Let's talk about that for 2.5 seconds. Biden, Kamala, and that coon ass, that immigrant coon from DOJ prosecutor did nothing to make sure that she hung from the gallows. See, these are little key points. Like when they denied the sisters that are about 100 years old from getting reparations for Tulsa. Now, they usually say, well, y'all were slaves 100 years ago. You shouldn't get nothing. Y'all ain't no slaves. Well, you got some sisters that are still alive from Tulsa, Oklahoma. The white Supreme Court struck it down. They didn't say anything about that. These are key landmarks. See, black Americans, we sitting back and thinking about, okay, yeah, you want us to come out this election with the boogeyman tactics, but what about Tulsa? What about Emmett Till? These are recent events that y'all could have said something about. What about the Fearless Fund? What about, we're not forgetting about how y'all handling these landmark cases. You see what I'm saying? These landmark cases that you can morally right the wrong. You see what I'm saying? So that brother was a Vietnam vet. And the Vietnam War, they said, went from 1955 to 1975. When was Malcolm X killed? When was King killed? When was the Black Panthers ambushed and killed? This was all during the same time. So he's probably sitting back looking at this shit like, man, I've been voting Democrat my whole life. No, I'm undecided. I'm good.
Where there's not very many good options.
But cable installer Richard Malakabu likes what he hears from Donald Trump.
Really being forward with his words and telling people how he actually feels, even if it's rude or inappropriate at times. He says what's on his mind, and he doesn't.
Now, see, what a lot of the old civil rights generation that want to keep voting for the Democrats, and they just love the fish fries from Negro Clyburn, Jim Plantation Clyburn. They're more, when you ask them about Trump, and we're both not big on Trump. I mean, he's entertaining, but we're not big on breaking our necks on either candidate. But most of the civil rights generation and them old niggas, they just don't like Trump because he's not palatable, right? He's just gonna say some shit. Oh, the black jobs. He's not going to say African-American workers. He's not going to say that. He's just going to say black jobs.
Well, if you're a white dude, you kind of, lost on what you can call people. Because, if you say African-American, some people get mad about that.
Right.
If you say blacks, some people get mad about that. So, but the truth is he could have worded that. He was directing that towards black America.
Right.
But what he could have just said is they're taking jobs away from Americans.
Yeah.
But the thing is his fan base already knows that.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
But a guy like Donald Trump, he has to walk a tight line because he wants blacks to know this guy really don't like y'all. But he's got to do it in a way where he's not pandering to blacks.
Right.
Because he's going to alienate his base. As much as he might want to disassociate himself from racism, this and that, but every redneck, tobacco spitting, nigger hating motherfucker in America is voting for Donald Trump.
Right. Yep.
And he knows that.
Yeah.
So he's got to cater to that. So if he comes out and says, black Americans, I love you guys, and I'm going to do all this and this for you, and fuck this motherfucker, he's going to piss off his whole base.
Right, yeah.
So he got to throw a little subtly hope that blacks can understand. Like, I'll take Lil Wayne out.
Right.
I'll get Kodak Black out.
Kodak Black.
Yeah, and I bet you they'll be at the Republican National Convention. They'll both be performing. As they should.
Yep, they would. And you know what? I'm not mad at them for doing that. I truly ain't. Because, like I said, now, the average nigga gonna be like, okay, they were cooning. Now, think about this for a moment. Think about this.
You get me out of prison?
If you get me out of prison, now keep in mind, all these so-called, the Black Lives Matter niggas and all that kind of stuff, would they get Kodak Black, or would they? Are they going to be rallying for Kodak Black or Lil Wayne, the Black Lives Matter corporate? No, they're not going to do shit. So the same thing like with that conservative sister, Angela Stanton. She's over there with Kennedy and stuff now. I'm not mad at her. Now she's a you know what they call a so-called black conservative, whatever the hell that means. Now she got out of prison according to, you know, Trump let her out. He helped get her out. Angela Stanton, she helped get her out, helped set her out, put a little money in her pocket, you know what I'm saying? So
He got her out.
He got her out. He got her out. He pardoned her, and then, you know, he kind of looked out for her, gave her a little clout, you know what I'm saying? And she went and started working in the community. But you know, you got to think, Angela ain't like a Kamala.
He replaced Omarosa.
You said he put her in the same place as Omarosa?
He replaced Omarosa. When he fired Omarosa, he put Angela Stanton in that spot.
Oh, he did. Okay. Yeah, so she's going to be indebted. She feels like, okay, I could have been sitting up in the penitentiary if it wasn't for you, which is true.
You get me out of jail. You get me out of prison, I got you.
I got you. So
yeah, what you mean?
So that's quid quo pro. What you gonna say to a man that got you out of prison? You sitting up there eating some bullshit every day. You don't know when you coming home and he get you out. You not gonna come home. There's no way you gonna come home and spit in that man's face. Ain't happening. You ain't really trying to hear what other people gonna say because you looking at them niggas like, man, you ain't trying to get my black ass out.
If Donald Trump called Lil Wayne right now and said, I'm going to send a private jet, I want you to come out here to where I'm at, let's kick it. He's coming.
He's coming. And you know what?
Man, you got me out of prison?
You got me out of prison.
I got you.
Yeah.
I'll campaign for you, everything.
Yeah. You know, he scratched your back, you scratching his. And you know what? As much as I hate to say this, that's fucking politics. Quid quo pro.
Smart.
That's politics.
Yeah, it's politics, but what it is for Trump, he had, like I said, he has to be very subtle. So he'll do shit like, I'll let Lil Wayne out, I'll let Kodak Black out. So you blinks in the hood, can you see what I'm doing? I can't really tell y'all, I can't really speak to what I'm doing, but y'all got to be able to see it and get off this train. Yeah. Donald Trump would win the election if he knew a way where I could speak to black America without alienating these tobacco spitting motherfuckers.
See, I look at it like this.
There's a lot of them people in America, man, and they spend money, bro.
Yeah. They talk about
them tobacco motherfuckers and rednecks in Tallahassee and all they spend money.
Yeah, they do. Wayne and Kodak, some people may say, oh, were they're cooning and all that. You know, I'm just saying, some people say, oh, well, they were Trump, they coons. Here's my thing. There's nothing worse than what I've seen that TMZ article you seen me where it was Fat Joe and 40. And like I said, because y'all know what Kamala did when she was in California. And you siding with the people that did the most damage. This is documented. All I have to say is 94 crime bill. California and Texas was one of the main states that focus was on in far as, you know, the prison population and stuff like that. This is documented. And then we'll play the rest of this brother talking here.
Really band-aid or cover it up, and I like that about him.
Some here, including Andre Lee Sanders, told us they won't be voting.
If they open their mouth, they're lying. They're politicians. That's what they do.
Tim Luckett is also undecided, but as a property owner and a dad, he says he needs to vote.
I'm going to go on YouTube and type in what are they saying about taxes for the middle class family and see which one I like the most.
Now that right there, what that brother did, the last brother, that was a smart tactic. He's looking at policy. Most Negroes that you hear, especially a lot of the Biden supporters, when you start hearing them niggas talk, they start talking about what they don't like about Trump and he's mean. A lot of them people, believe it or not, they sound like a bunch of hoes. Oh, he cheated on me, girl. I ain't taking him back. Okay, does a nigga got a Rolls Royce? And then the other broad will be like, shit, I'll take him. know what I'm saying? That's how they. A lot of the Biden supporters. That's how they sound. They sound like an old disgruntled hoe. You know what I'm saying? So this dude's like, okay, hold on. Let me look at the policies. I had a homie from California. He's a Republican. He's like, man. He said, DP, you got. He said, because I was talking about all different kind of stuff, and he said, DP, you know what you got to do? He said, think about this. He says, don't get on the people that you don't like. He said, you got to close your eyes and look at what the policy is. He said, what is the policy? Does the policy hurt or harm you? Did this person pass a policy that harms you? That's the question at hand. Now, I'm going to go into the economic and the employment and economic development.
Hold on, you're missing a key element when it comes to the black vote. The key element you're missing is Republicans, if they had their way, slash government assistance. Okay?
Yeah.
They would slash it in half, probably. So what happens is, it's a 6 degrees of separation. So Democrats realize, they're not dumb. They're not stupid, okay? So they realize eventually blacks are going to catch on. They were really not doing anything for the working black man. We help the blacks that are lame. We help we're Democrats. We help the race of people, that portion of your race that's lame, we help them. So what's the 6 degrees of separation for the black man? Either you or somebody real close to you is on government assistance for the most part. So you start thinking, wait a minute. If they cut Lil Pookie and them off, what's going to happen? Lil Pookie going to come over here and stay with me. I might be a black that's halfway, I'm doing good for myself, making 80, 90K a year, and I love my family, but I feed them with a long spoon. So wait a minute, these guys are going to come and slash all this, and then they're going to be coming to me. So that's always the element that's in play. And when people say, why don't Democrats pander to blacks? Because of that. All we know is if we keep government assistance in place, we have a good percentage of blacks. We have all the blacks that are on government assistance and their immediate family. If you're lucky your family is pretty, got some sense to them. Let's say you had a cousin, a first cousin, and an older brother that was real fucking lame. Real lame, waiting on that 703 every month. You want him to keep that 703, because if he don't, he coming to you. You want him to keep that housing. Because if he don't, what's he doing? He coming to your ass. So that's an element that people don't realize. Let's do this. Let's push foundation blacks, Mexicans, natives, whites. Let's push it where the only people who get government assistance is people who are not physically or mentally capable of working.
I got a question. Now, at one point, I think this was in St. Paul. Let me see. Before I ask you this question. All right. Now, when it comes to,
hold on, your viewers, your listeners might be getting something here. I'm about to probably kick this bum out from in front of the building here. Watch this.
Okay, I'll raise it to.
What's up, brother? Something I can help you with? You need something? We ain't got no cigarette here, bro. You got a cigarette for him? No, he ain't got a cigarette for you, man. You gotta move around, bro. He told you he ain't got one. Move around. He's not gonna give you a short. Move around. All right, bro. Oh, watch this. Put this dog in. I'm fucking this dude up.
See, I was just gonna ask you a question about. Well, I noticed what they did something with Florida. Oh, so you were out there with the dog?
I'll stick this little dog on you. Use that mouth to go get a job, boy.
So he's up there talking slick.
Yeah, some bum ass motherfucker. Get your bum ass out of here, man. Quit talking. Go.
Does he know that you manage the building?
He's about to find out.
We getting live bum activity from Minneapolis.
Yeah, you got these bums sitting around here and he's Somali too.
So what happened to him, probably?
I tell all these bums the same thing. Use that mouth to go get you a job, boy. They don't have an answer for you when you say that, you know? Well, you got to understand, you know, thing with addiction is it don't matter who you are. You know, it don't matter who you are. And the lamer you are, the more likely you are to get involved in addiction. But addiction sees no bound. You know, it doesn't really matter about your money or this, but the lamer you are, the more you'll get deeper into that. And here in this neighborhood, we got nothing but lame. To prove your point. So the point you were just making, like you come to a neighborhood like Seward, Cedar Riverside, Seward, Chicago and Franklin, you're in this area and you're the Democratic Party. What fucking campaigning do you have to do?
Oh, you ain't got to do nothing.
All you got to do is just know, hey, we're Democrats and we keep government assistance in place. That's it. That's it. There doesn't need to be a debate. There doesn't need to be nothing. It's all right there.
How many votes you think they get in Seward between Cedar Riverside, Franklin, and Seward?
I would say
10,000.
Well, I don't know how to put it in a number, but I would say probably 90%.
90%?
90% of people vote because you see, you don't have to tell. You see, politics only affect the very rich and the very poor.
Right, right.
You know what I'm saying? So you don't have to tell the rich to go vote.
No, you don't.
And you don't have to tell the poor to go vote because both parties are going to vote for their pocket. You know what I mean? So Republicans, rich people, people with a lot of money are going to vote for tax breaks. Who's going to give us the biggest tax break? Which is obviously going to be the Republican Party. And then you got the poor who are going to vote and see who's implementing government assistance in this motherfucker. Oh, that's always the Democrats. Bet we're going. And now you see these homeless encampment centers, these homeless Salvation Army type places. The Democrats are coming into there, and they're creating programs under the umbrella of vote Democrat. Here, fill this out. We'll just get your vote right now.
Now, check this out. I was going to ask you one quick question before
I was going to tell you this before you go any further. I'll bet you and any listener you got $500 that Joe Biden wins.
You think he's going to win?
I'll bet you $500. You and any listener you got. All of them.
How are they
I'll bet each one of y'all $500.
How are they going to be able to get him through the next debates and talking? He can't even remember anything.
They'll give him a hit of cocaine before the next debate, or they'll give him some testosterone or something. They'll give him a shot of Hennessy or something. They'll have him going. Trust me, he'll be going. They'll have him right and ready. And mark my words, I want you and your listeners to pay attention to this. They will double the immigration legalizing immigrants. They will double that and create their own voters again. They'll bring people from Mexico over here. Come on over. All y'all mulling around the border and shit, you know, come on. Just come on. We got you. They're gonna see this, what just happened with this election or this debate, you know, and they're gonna say, "Hey, man, we need to create our own voters because the motherfuckers who just saw this ain't voting. They're not coming Democrat. They're gonna that 500,000 migrants is gonna be 1.5 million migrants.
Do they have enough time until December?
Yes. them motherfuckers are kicking to come to America.
Do you know that means that they're going to have to bring 10,000 people a day to do that?
Yeah, why not? How many escape the border now?
Where are they going to bring them?
Wherever, next door to you, next door to me. That ain't the problem.
Oh,
and then for the blacks, like that lady, that clip you sent me with the lady that she was complaining in Chicago to the city council. They take, yeah, you know what, the city councilman, if he had the balls to tell her, y'all threatening to not vote for it. And that's why they're here. You know, that's what the Democratic Party will tell you. So if you want to bring in you guys are taking things from blacks and you're dishousing blacks, the Democratic Party will tell you, quit saying that you're not voting for us then.
Okay, so a double-edged sword, basically.
Yeah, so the notion that we just see now, so when people like yourself say Democrats, we're not going to vote. Blacks, we're not going to vote. Okay, what happened? They don't take that and then get in pocket. They take that and they create their own voters to make up what they're going to lose from the black vote.
So now we don't need the black vote anymore.
So clearly they'd rather not have to go get migrants. They'd rather be straight and cool with black America. But look what, you know what I mean? So we can X that plan out. To say, okay,
do you know how demonic that sounds? So they're willing to literally pay some motherfuckers that ain't citizens before they do something specific for black folks because we won't vote. Literally. Wow.
Yeah, because they can't. Their thing is, we're not going to give out reparations. We're not going to do that. That's money.
So we'll spend a quarter of what we should pay you in reparations for these illegals before we give you niggas anything, in so many words.
Yeah, here's the thing with this. We need to win the vote. We need to win the election.
But that costs money.
Our little game that we've been playing in the Democratic Party, Black America has finally seen through that. Okay, so we're fucked. We're fucked. So here's, like I told you, when that black lady was yelling at the city councilman in Chicago, you needed a Claude Anderson in the middle right there to be the buffer. I say, well, let's just sit down and let's negotiate. Because this is the perfect time. Because Democratic Party, after what they saw last night, they know, hey man, if they lose this election, this is going to be 8 to 12 years.
Oh, so they're not getting back in they're not getting back in for another decade. They're done.
It's going to be a while, bro, because this is going to be, now this is the signifying of a dead brand, similar to how long it took the Republican Party 8 years to really wash out George Bush's bullshit. You know what I mean? They were a dead brand, man. It was until Trump got in and got, kind of took the onus away from a lot of the stuff that Bush had it. When Bush had the Republican Party, man, that was a dead brand. If you was associated with that brand, nobody was fucking with you.
While we're on the subject,
Bush had did a good job of alienating everybody. Rich, poor, you know what I mean? Which is where you fuck up. And now the Democratic Party is fucking up because you're fucking with your base. Republicans, when they start fucking up, upsetting rich people, that's when they start going backwards. When Democrats start fucking with poor people, that's when they go backwards. That's when they go backwards. And if the Democratic Party can't come up with about 1 million new voters through the migrants, I'm going to be out 500. Because they're going to lose. Because this just turned into a popularity contest. That's all it is. You know what I mean? This is just a popularity contest at this point because what is Trump doing for America? Not a fucking thing either.
I'm just putting a comment. Now, I'm going to play this. We'll analyze this real quick and go back into the job thing, and then we're going to move over to a couple other little subjects real quick. This is a thing I pulled up about the St. Paul Commission forming reparations plans. I may need to go to this shit and talk to them, just so we get into the proper context. So I just made a comment, just trolling. I said, we need reparations because you give money to illegals in Ukraine. Pay what you owe. Before I play the video, I want to just let you know what people are saying. What a lot of these Minnesota race soldiers and these white supremacists are saying in the comments. There's 75 comments The video only was posted, has 924 views. Remember what you told me before, how they feel about, when a white man looks at reparations. He's like, so this is what somebody says. Some person that says Ida Katie 7 says playing the victims again. Now listen to this. I'm about to go in on this one. I got to go in on this one hard. Slavery, this is what Mr. Jingle 7540 says. Slavery was never legal in Minnesota. Minnesota tax dollars should not go to this. This is a federal issue. Take it up with Congress. No. Now, I remember earlier you told me about the federal issue because the federal was complicit in the Constitution and everything. However, the Dred Scott decision was based also in the state, in the Wisconsin territory. So as it was federal, the state went behind it. You see what I'm saying? The states and the federal all work together to undermine and dehumanize foundational blacks and put us in a state of 3/5 of the human, in human apartheid. You see what I'm saying? So when he says slavery was never legal in Minnesota, lies. I should reply to him and say Dred Scott. How do you reply to this idiot? No, you can't. I don't think you could reply, but oh, here it goes. Wait a minute, hold on.
Keyboard warriors.
Yeah, I'm just trolling a little bit. Every now and then I'll troll. Oh, hey, help us keep comments respectful. I guess you can't call somebody an idiot. See, now this is, it's crazy. It's crazy now because, like, when you post certain things, you may not even say nothing sexual. It may not be a curse word. You can't even call nobody an idiot. Oh, man, it's so politically correct nowadays.
Yeah, but you could white people can say shit about race. They ain't stopping now.
Oh, yeah. So, look, now somebody must have seen something. This must have been a brother. He said if you didn't complain about the money sent to Ukraine or other issues that don't concern this country, then shut the fuck up and vote Trump next time. Bam. See, this dude that said that was probably a foundational. Okay, listen to this. Another person says forcing the innocent to pay non-victims for something that happened to neither of them is not reparations. Now, you illuminated the race soldier mindset in that a couple weeks ago to me. Now, I knew about that, but just so the listeners could be clear, the race soldier looks at it like, if we give reparations to foundational blacks, they gonna build Tulsa again. They gonna get out of poverty. They're gonna be at an even playing field of the race soldier. So like you said, it behooves them to want that. Listen to this, another ploy for easy money. Aren't you ashamed you cannot support yourselves? Now, when I bring up the Marshall Plan, and when I bring up the fact that reparations were paid to slave owners, see, they play this a lot of times whenever they say the bootstrap theory or aren't you ashamed you can't support yourself? Oh, you welfare queen and everything. They're just playing dumb. Billy Bob, the average white man, especially a lot of them conservatives, they know the deal. They know they got a bunch of free labor, freebies. They were the biggest welfare beneficiaries of this damn planet. They got free land when they came over here from Europe. They weren't on no plantations. They hired the Irish. They became white after a while. They got the Marshall Plan. They got all kinds of stuff from the GI Bill. Black folks weren't able to get that stuff half the time. And they got slavery reparations. The slave owners got reparations. So somebody says here, so yeah, that's another thing that black folks need to understand. That's why what I learned was never argue with race soldiers. Just don't do it. We're emotional people. We get upset. Nah, you use your emotional intelligence. Don't get to arguing back and forth and screaming and shouting. They know. They understand. They study our history probably more than we do.
Nobody knows who's who.
They'll say, well, welfare and this, that, and the third. And the bottom line is most folks don't bother to look at the statistics. The biggest welfare recipients is the American white woman. I can actually pull up. There's, you know what? I'm gonna pull it up. We'll get to it a little later. Remind me, but I want to pull that up. The poorest county, Meth Head County, all with white folk. It ain't black folks that's mostly on that stuff. They use us as the ploy. Then look, somebody says, no reparation without deportation. Time to take responsibility for yourselves. Look around. Everyone is struggling, not just your tribe. Then another person says, this is ridiculous. I'm glad I moved out of state. Then another person, nobody owes you anything. Another person, sure, spend that sweet taxpayer money on a useless project. Another person said, ridiculous. Another person says, ask Cruz about him smoking crack. Then another person said, what about reparations for the family whose house just dropped into the river? See, now they just trolling. It's like, okay, when you gonna make the floods pay reparations? These folks is crazy. Now, here's another thing somebody says. Y'all remember that Minnesota was a free state and fought for the North, right? And that they were instrumental with the Battle of Gettysburg. No, didn't think so. Okay, let me respond to that real quick. I can debunk this shit all day, bro. This is fun for me. Again, Dred Scott decision. Where did that happen at? Then they keep talking about this free state and fought for the North. Bro, did you know that a lot of the Union folks were yellow belly cowards? Do you know that a lot of them left the army because they got scared? And who did they go get? Foundational blacks. Black folks fought on both sides of the war. And what some people would say is, well, oh, y'all fought for the Confederate. It's the same thing with this whole thing where they'll say, well, a nigga's a sellout if they vote for Trump. But they will literally suck the balls of the people that signed the 94 crime bill. You know what I'm saying? It makes no sense at all.
Don't even know what the 94 crime bill even is.
Oh, they know. They know what it is these are pickaninny plantation politics. That's something that I came up with in the past 2 years. Pickaninny plantation politics.
So let me ask you something. If you're in the Minnesota government assistance program and you get $703 a month, you never worked in your life, so you don't have no retirement.
Are you talking about a crackhead?
No, I'm talking about the majority of this neighborhood I live in and maybe 25% of the city.
What age?
18 to 100.
He might 18.
Hold on.
Okay.
No. So you're the Seward neighborhood, and you're on government assistance, and you get $703 a month, and your rent is 30% of that, and you have no retirement because you never worked, and you get $300 a month in food. Are you going to not vote for the guy that gives you that because he made the 94 crime bill?
And you're saying you're a lame?
Hey, this is just a fact of the matter. So if you're somebody who's on government assistance or even a family member you have on it, like I said, there's 6 degrees of separation. So if you're involved with that, you're not going to worry about the crime bill. They
may not think about the crime bill.
What's that?
They may not think about the crime bill. I mean,
it's not thinking about it, but you got to think that's a portion of black voters. So, you know what I mean? So who is going to bring up the 94 crime bill before they're going to bring up, why isn't the 94 crime bill gone? Because it doesn't have to be gone. Exactly. So I got blacks by the balls. Blacks are going to vote for me because of what I do for them. It's bigger than the 94 crime bill.
Well, Lyndon B. Johnson said it. I'll have those niggers vote Democrat for 100 years plus.
Like I said, once we get it to the point where government assistance is just strictly for the people who legitimately have medical and physical, mental issues that do not allow them to work. Not for lames. And Minnesota would do that for lames because Minnesota gets money for doing that. If I gave you